Welcome everyone. We'll call this combined meeting of the Stansbury Recreation, Stansbury Greenbelt Service Area Board of Trustees, and Stansbury Service Agency Board of Directors meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, June 16th at 101 Country Drive, Stansbury Park. Thank you for being here. We'll have a roll call now, starting with
Wayne B. Neilson, President.
John Wright, President.
Al Shields, President.
Paul here.
Rob Peterson, President.
Kasey Nobles, President.
Thank you, Kasey. Can we get you to, sorry, I'd also like to recognize Ingrid Swenson and Jim Zelka and Sean Chester. Today, along with a few residents with us from Stansbury. And Kasey, if you have any news for the presentation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Doesn't look like the sheriff department is here, so okay, if we skip that and go ahead, or you need to review the report. I prefer to just move ahead unless somebody feels strongly to chat about a few of the comments.
Did we get a, before you move ahead there, did we get a summary from the sheriff? You did.
I thought we did.
Yeah. Should be in your packet.
Okay, we'll move on to public comments. Anyone in the audience like to make any public comments at this time? If you would just state your name and your address for us, that would be great.
My name is Greg Howard.
Howard?
W-A-R-T-H. Live on 211 Lakeview. Walk my dog quite often. Oh, sorry. And he was me and half dogs coming home, and he hit a fish hook on the causeway. I was livid. Could have killed him. Well, I'm asking this from you folks, if you could install garbage cans on the causeway. I know that you probably won't use them, but everybody who lives along there, well, they all told me they would pick up the garbage and put the garbage can. Not all the fish use them, but enough of them are. And the trouble was, it was almost I was livid. Yeah.
You probably wasn't having a very good time either.
No. Fortunately, he managed to cough it up. I didn't have to needle those and, get down this book. I'm asking like 1 or 2 garbage cans on the causeway for relatively simple. I mean, you put the kids will knock them over if they use it and put them out there. But if you anchor them somehow, you can leave them alone. It's like what you have. But, yeah, I was not happy. My neighbors, they all do the same way. And, that's all I got to say. I'm a little happier today than I was then. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Jim, is that something that we can do without too much issue?
Yeah, I think that that's one where we would strategically put them. Typically, what we'd like to do is put a platform and then anchor to a platform.
Right.
So we'll look at how we can do that.
So,
Thank you.
review public comments from last meeting.
Did you have anything else, Brad? Were you guys here for one? Okay, sorry.
Okay, so Richard Davis made a comment about the ADA compliant hearing applications. Sean's been working with the vendor. What talk about that and also new mics. They suggested they did not like what we call mics, they thought the news mics were better. In terms of the ADA compliant hearing, they think we'll work with that system, but they're going to have to come out and look at the system and see which they would recommend. We're hoping that we would have both the mics and the ADA hearing system by next meeting. He also brought up the issue of e-bikes, motorcycles, and other vehicles being too far. We had that issue going on. Jenny Wilson also had a similar comment. We've been talking with both the sheriff, the county administration, county roads, and to see what we can actually do. One thing I did find out today is that the county attorney is working on an ordinance covering e-bikes, e-motorcycles, and other vehicles. He is planning on getting that to Jerry Hander, and we need to touch base with him to get a draft. They're going to put that into the August council meeting. I guess they won't have one in July. The other thing is, in relation to that, I got a call just yesterday that when the agenda came out, Jenny Wilson wanted to know why the proposal for paid parking is not on the agenda for a vote. And we went back through the minutes and we looked at what was asked for. We actually had board members asking for more information. So that's why it's not on for a vote. We're giving us some information to provide to the board. That's it.
Thank you, Jim. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the Stansbury Service Agency Board of Directors meeting and enter into the Stansbury Recreation Service Area Board of Trustees meeting.
So moved.
Second. Also, Wayne, how do you vote?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Pat?
Aye.
Fred is aye. Rob?
Aye.
And Kasey? Aye. Thank you, motion passes unanimously.
So, the Stansbury Recreation Service Area Board of Trustee meeting, we will call to order. Those in attendance are, from my left,
Neilson.
John Wright, is present.
Aye, still present.
Very good. Are we've already had some public comments. Are there any public comments specifically addressed to the Recreation Service Board? Right. Seeing none, we'll move on to our action items. Our first action item is item 2026.06.01, which is the presentation of the resolution adopting the 2026 final tax rates and budgets. And what you should have, you see some information regarding the adoption of the tax rate from the state, and it shows within that tax rate, how the certified tax rate is calculated and more specifically for the recreation district and for the Greenbelt district. And if you were to look at that, if you have the time to look at it, you'll find that the tax rate is almost the same as last year's. It will be proposed that it will remain at 0.001421, and what that will in effect do it's there and remains where it's at, so that we can, it accounts for new builds, housing in the Stansbury area, but it also takes into account some of the above average delinquency rates on non-payment of property tax, and it helps us to stay in alignment with the inflation rate and the way things comes in for costs have been jostled around this last year. So it's I find it to be more than satisfactory. I think it's a good solution that the state has proposed to us, and I think that we ought to go forward on that. Wayne or Kyle, do either one of you have any comments specific for that?
No, I would think that's right. No comment.
Okay, that being said, let's see. Okay, so we presented that, we talked a little bit about. Are there any other comments regarding a resolution on the proposed final tax rate for 2026? The certified tax rate is presented to us and advised to us by the state. Is there any comments? Everybody understand that? Okay, that being said, I would entertain a motion to approve the 2026 certified tax rate and adopting the resolution with a review of revenue of $1,600,688 at a tax rate of 0.001421 for 2026. What else is more?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 certified tax rate, adopting the resolution revenue $1,600,688 at the tax rate of 0.001421. Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second on the table. Wayne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kyle?
Aye.
John Wright votes aye. Resolution passes with a certified tax rate of 0.001421 for 2026. Our next item of business is approval of some minutes. It's item number 2026.0602. The approval of our April 8th, 2026 board meeting minutes. If you look in your packet, by the way, in that particular item, as I recall, it was a combined hearing, much like tonight's is, and at the time, if I remember right, perhaps you correct me if I'm incorrect, I believe the board in general passed the minutes, but specifically the recreation board did not, for whatever particular reason. Have you all had an opportunity to review those specific minutes, and did you have any questions about them? So I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the Stansbury Recreation Service Area Board meeting on April 8th, 2026.
Make a motion to approve the April 8th, 2026 Stansbury Recreation minutes. Second.
So a motion and a second to approve those minutes. Kyle, how do you vote?
Aye.
Wayne, how do you vote?
Yes.
John Wright votes aye. So the minutes of April 8th, 2026 Recreation Service Area Board of Trustees meeting minutes are approved. At this particular point in time, we will adjourn, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the Stansbury and to enter and to allow the Stansbury Greenbelt Service Area to conduct their business.
So moved.
Yes.
Okay, so, I will be voting here.
Aye.
John votes yes, so we will send the actions over to the Stansbury Greenbelt Service Area. Brett, I guess it's up to you.
Thanks, John. We're in the Stansbury Greenbelt Service Area Board meeting. And Brett Palmer is president, Peterson is president, and also Kasey Nobles. Any public comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to presentation of resolution adopting 2026 final tax rate budgets for the Greenbelt service area. The reason that we are doing this is the Stansbury Service Agency, one of which both Greenbelt and Recreation boards are working under the service agency itself and that tax authority. So we are required to approve both of these tax rates in our individual service areas. So the proposed tax rate is the exact same as the recreation service area, and the budget revenue is exactly the same. Are there any questions with this time? And is there any public comment regarding the adoption of resolution 2026 final tax rates and budgets? Seeing none, board review and possible approval of the 2026 certified tax rate and adopting the resolution for the revenue of 1.6, $1,688,000 with a tax rate of 0.001421. Motion for that effect.
I'll make a motion that we, the 2026 certified tax rate and adopt the resolution with a revenue of $1,600,680 and a tax rate of 0.00142.
Second. Thank you. We'll vote this time. Kasey, how do you vote? Aye. Rob? Aye. And Brett votes aye as well. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next order of business is board review and possible approval of April 8th, 2026 board meeting minutes. As John mentioned earlier, service agency board adopted and approved those minutes. This is the first time we've had to meet as a combined board, and so this is why we're approving them specifically for the Greenbelt this time. Are there any questions on the meeting minutes? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I make a motion to approve the April 8th, 2026 board meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Kasey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Brett votes aye as well. Motion passes unanimously. At this point in time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the Stansbury Greenbelt Area Board of Trustees meeting and re-enter the Stansbury Service Agency Board of Directors. So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Kasey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Brett votes aye as well. Thank you. We're now back in the Service Agency Board of Directors meeting, and item number 5 is John Wright. John, we'll let you have the floor.
So, on May 27th, I made a total ass of myself, and I apologize to the board, I apologize to the staff, and I was out of line, and apologies for mine. I'm sorry for what I did. I was upset over something that just carried over here, and couldn't. It's not guess, again, I gave it a promotion. And it happened to coincide with something that I had previously been irritated with several years ago, and for which I should have resolved with Neil then. Neil has been a friend of mine for a long time, and I thus lost. I've served in public office in a lot of capacities in the county, here, in the state, and I never lost it like that. So I apologize personally to Neil. I apologize to him tonight that my actions were not appropriate for a elected member of government. There's a better way to handle those kind of situations, and I know what they are, and I just do a good job. And so I apologize to them. I've done it personally, and I'm doing it publicly now. And at the same time, I had the golden opportunity of screwing myself twice, and I made some hard comments to my colleague, Wayne Neilson, who sits next to me here, regarding some golf personnel. And again, I was out of line, and I had to apologize to him personally. I apologize to him publicly here. Again, I know that there was a better way to handle it. I didn't do a good job. And that bothers me a lot. Because as I mentioned, I served in a lot of government positions, and I never have done. I just made a huge mistake, and I hope that I never do that again. I apologize personally to Wayne, and we've come to an understanding, and in both cases, whether it's Wayne or any other board members or in this particular case, we may not always agree. But if there's something specific that we are concerned about, then we ought to take the opportunity to kind of discuss the matter prior to or just after the topic that presented here or something anyway. There's a better way to answer questions if you could come to a resolution, or at least understand between the two of us what ought to be done. So I hope that the board, the staff, general manager will accept my apology and understand that I intend to do a better job.
Thank you, Bill. Would anybody have any objections if we, as we have Neil Smart and the Molina family here today, if we move ahead to item number 8, a discussion of approval of vacating and amending lot 27 of Captain's Island Subdivision 2, the Molina lot subdivision, before we go to the previous items on the agenda. Okay, we skip down. Any objections to that? Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Jim, if you want to kind of start this discussion off on what we've been able to find out.
So, after the last meeting, we had 2 actions. One was to better define the terms and areas in the bankruptcy agreement. We're still working on that. the other one was to contact lawyers and seek legal advice for the agency as to our requirements in terms of executing this property, it's actually a lot line adjustment. So, I was in contact with the county attorney. He gave me this, he's familiar with it, actually. I got this synopsis from him. So the property was sold by the agency and transferred on a warranty deed. When we transferred, the agency transferred that on a warranty deed, the agent was giving assurance that that title was clear in perpetuity. It's a stronger deed than a quitclaim deed, and it is pretty much inviolable once that was done. He also said he didn't understand why we owned it on the plat, because the lot line adjustment really does not require agency approval. It should have just been done at the county level. He also stated that we are at risk if we don't sign the document of the lawsuit, which we would like to lose, and that the owner is probably secure in his title because in Utah it's the first filed state. So since that was filed by the owner, there is no other encumbering claims out there that it is likely that he owns the property without any issue. In the meantime, Ingrid had also talked to our attorney, Greg Rose, who pretty much echoed all of these thoughts. I did call the county and say, look, county recorder and say, look, can you just do this without our signature? He said, no, since it started this way, he would like to have us sign the deed and transfer or execute the lot line adjustment as it was set up. So I think we've done our due diligence in terms of figuring out where legalities of this are. It was transferred clearly by the agency, a strong title, and there was no other encumbrances on that according to the county attorney. So that's the information that we were tasked
In my understanding, you now have an easement through there then, based on the synopsis you just gave.
We do not have what?
An easement.
No.
Any other questions regarding this? We have the links to the audience links today. Would you like to present any information that help the board?
Like to say a few words?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you for giving your time. You guys. The information that I wrote, so I can release my thoughts out. I'm here because I have been working the last year with an LE planner and with a recorder to amend my two parcels, lot 27 and 93. I purchased lot 93 from Stansbury Agency back in 2018. After multiple decision makers and multiple meetings, just like this one, in front of the board members. Just like you guys, they also did their vetting to ensure this was done right. I also did vetting. At the time of purchase, there were other sold properties prior to my purchase. There are other recently sold from the agency to the public. This is in reference to an email that I received. It's a stretch when I heard one of your members stating hesitation because they felt that it's in a reverted property of bankruptcy and should not have sold. I worked hard on this property to make it in its current condition. Spent lots of time and money. When I heard this comment like such, it's disturbing. I brought you some pictures. I can show you some of the pictures to help you where my property line is and the legal description done by a professional local surveyor company. The property that was sold to me was verified prior to the sale. I also have contributed to this community.
I also did multiple times in volunteering, such as cleaning invasive plants throughout the lake. Just recently, my neighbor and I spent a significant amount of money fixing one of the parts of the Greenbelt being located adjacent to my land lots and their lots. I love this community. The fact that you mentioned this bankruptcy, the property that I own is not part of the bankruptcy. So I ask you to reconsider your decision and allow me to amend my 2 parcels. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are any questions, let's jump down to action items, approval of vacating and amending lot 27 of Captain's Island subdivision number 2 and Lena 1 lot subdivision plat. I will entertain a motion for approval.
Brett, I would agree with Mr. Bernal.
So I would agree with Mr. Molina regarding the fact that it is not part of the bankruptcy area, and that apparently this piece of property was sold in 2018. Is that, did I understand that correct? So, and I didn't see,
Go back to previous slide.
but that one, there. Item 2 right there, the law line adjustment really doesn't require an agency approval, but I understand why the county, once it got started, they wanted us to follow through and be the defining agency to approve this. So, it's my recommendation, my motion is to, let's see what I want to say. To approve vacating and amending of lot 27 of Captain's Island subdivision number 2, the Lena 1 lot subdivision plat, and to allow the 2 parcels to become 1 parcel.
Thank you, John. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, Rob?
So, with all respect, right? One of the reasons I go to the board was there's a lot of issues with a lot of properties out here, okay? So we're talking about property was sold with a warranty, never seen. I've asked to see if the property's encumbered in any way, I've never seen. We've got some other property, tonight we're talking about, it's not going to be, it's encumbered. I don't know anything about your property, I don't know if it's encumbered, I've never seen a warranty. We talk about the language doesn't need to be signed by the agency, but if we don't, we need to be responsible. If it never should have been done in the first place, why should the agency be held legally responsible?
So, this is part of the process. In order to approve the amendment, you require a box of signatures of all public service such as Stansbury Park Agency, Wright County Fire Department, among others. It was prepared by a professional surveyor. There is a warranty in this file. There is a legal description in this that is done.
I asked for it 2 days ago, and you asked me.
This is the legal description of the property. Back then, if I would have done this in the same year that I did this purchase, I would have been done. But I got distracted with some projects. I put this over to the side until now. But unfortunately, I'm here now, and I'm dealing with it.
I would agree, and unfortunately, there's a lot of other property issues going on as well, because things weren't done correctly.
The issue was done correctly. I spent everything that I did here, spent my own money, nothing to do from the agency, to do it all, and with the approval of the agency prior administration to you guys at the time.
Okay, but thus far, I still haven't seen any way of calling on number or a warranty. Your survey documents. I don't deny the survey document, but I haven't seen a warranty. And there's a lot of other properties I got concerned with.
Would you like me to email you a warranty copy?
Please.
Or a warranty copy? All right, I'll do that.
I mean, this was a conversation we brought up 2 meetings ago, and I asked for the same document.
I don't think I have it with me, but I can do that over to you.
And I'm sorry, I know I'm being difficult. I know that there's some other property issues. They haven't been done correctly.
Oh.
That's for lot 32, just states lot 37.
Yes, so at the time we received, the county had activated a different parcel number. And so from this, we activated to the actual parcel that it is now.
So parent-child relationship on the parcel.
They had to, so it was not, they didn't have an original parcel at the time, there was just one original parcel. So they had to do some subject A, which is the description of the property that was subdivided from the Greenbelt, and then Wheeler County had to put a new parcel number to it and convert it to the parcel that it is now. But there was a warranty deed at that time.
Mr. Miller, let me see the warranty.
So, Rob, we did the same thing with the mutual property. With the mutual property, our Greenbelt state parcel, we're giving them, so we split that up and created two new parcels.
Hang on a second. This is not so long ago, we were talking about the other side of that property, and we don't want to sell. We don't have. Right. Now, really, a few houses down, this one's not coming.
Yeah, so what happened is when they did the bankruptcy, a certain portion of those were reverted immediately, so they weren't in the original bankruptcy. That's what I'm having done now.
All right, is there any further discussion? So I have a motion from John and a second from Kyle. We'll have a roll call vote this time. Wayne, how do you vote?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Kyle?
Aye.
Brad is aye. Rob?
Aye.
And Kasey? Aye. Thank you, motion passes unanimously. We'll get that signed in the morning, so thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and, as long as there's no objections, we'll have Neilson follow up discussion item B, questions and answers on the preserved property on SR 36.
Just an update on, I spoke about last time.
So the reason why I brought there might be an area for signature on that is because the county needs to identify the tax liens that are in there. If your lot isn't on that, where you're dividing one property is not a big deal, but if you sell off the parcel, your lot is there, it may not connect you to your tax rate that you guys talked about.
So I can understand, but two bullet points where county doesn't see it as a need, and the
Right.
very next thing is, you
But
know,
the county might recognize that if your name's not there, you might not get tax rate. Or going down to one lot, just combining it all, that's already the tax rate for you guys, but that's not.
and it's kind of sad that, like, if the agency sold this thing 7, 8 years ago, there's no record. Or the warranty, or the flag, or anything else that was documents. No record.
Understood.
So let me clarify that. No record keeping on our side. Ain't you grabbing record on your side, just for clarification. Well, I'm just thinking, no record keeping on our side, essentially, the state's ain't grabbing record on your side.
Yeah. So since the last time we talked, and Brian, just a suggestion, some of your guys' comments asked us to go a little further with each of the different entities that could possibly be involved. So this front page, just kind of give you an update. We've met with the county a couple of times, we've met with Andy, Michelle, and Michelle again. And things that Michelle brought up was she wanted to make sure that she can go through and see all the different gymnastics that she has to do to see if it's even possible to rezone this and move it for conservation. So she's going to look at that, she's going to her time and see what can be done there. She asked Darrell if he could reach out to the school district and see if they would be willing to dedicate some property and swap some conservation land somewhere, and then also see if they would use that land and how they might use it. And so Darrell did reach out to him. The next item down, school district, Darrell reached out to Terry Christensen. He confirmed both of the above, that they would do what they could to make this work, and they would want to use that as part of the sports complex or whatever area is there. So then, Perry Holmes, when I first talked to them, they were like, why are you talking to this? This isn't our land anymore. And I said, okay, you're right, it's not our land, your land anymore. But in the agreement, on item number 9 in the agreement, it does say they could reacquisition that land on Highway 36 if it wasn't used for what it was originally meant to be. I've had several meetings with them and emails back and forth, and they basically just want to go harms. They don't want to be involved in it. If it is transferred, it is done. It's totally county service agency. They make it happen. They just don't want to be. They do want to see that there would be an open meeting for the citizens that live in those homes right by there that have a chance to have some say, which we would have to have in the county already saying that as well. So just be aware that's one of the things from Perry Holmes, we just want to go harm someone involved. So we would have a public meeting and we would have 30 days to comment, and after that, we'd be clear. But
Maybe I'll ask that.
okay. I'll go through these quick, so if you have questions, write them down, and we'll come back and whatever you guys want to get. Jake Clegg's property, just so you know, he's on about the 4th or 5th lot right now, so he may get to the point where he has to take one off, they might be too good to be true. And he may have to take them, and so we'll see. So in the meantime, I reached out, kind of stayed in contact with Ken Holiday, who owns the property by Rose Park, across from Stansbury Elementary, and just kind of chatted with him today on the phone for probably a half an hour. And he likes the idea of that being a park over there and not necessarily being homes. So he'd prefer that to be, and so he's going to kind of talk about if there could be a land swap down the road if this does happen. He's interested. So there's another parcel that could be in areas yours to kind of put your park together along with your maintenance. So that's a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but Ken, this is the most agreeable and most talked about it will all happen. Okay. This next page, this just kind of goes back, so this is a little bit off topic of what we're talking about right now, but from our last meeting, some of the conversations where we got into talking about tax and annexation for that area by Perry Homes. It reminded me of a conversation I had with Paul Winchester when I was on the board here, and then when I was going through the process of trying to annex that property, trying to use that property for Stansbury.
talking, and Colin believes strongly that a blanket annexation can be done across all the Stansbury borders. Right now, we do drawing reports that you see down in that, and then you would obviously pull in those homes that are Perry homes into that boundary, and then that blanket annexation would have a chance for public comment as well. But the steps on that are that if they said they wanted, hey, we're not part of Stansbury, we don't want to be part of Stansbury, that would go to the boundary commission. The boundary commission is the Florida County Boundary Commission, and they determine what looks like it does, not like it does, not those neighbors, not where you're on the side where you got a lot of all signatures. You can do a blanket annexation. I'm not going to dive too deep into it because I'm not a professional on it, but I've left you the notes from Paul Winchester and how he's willing to work with you guys, work with the service agency on that. Okay? And then the last page again is just the picture of that land. So really it's an update on kind of where we're at, and it's still worth moving forward. You guys, you know, you're going to have the appetite to face some neighbors over there that might want to come to a meeting, so why are you guys trying to rezone this, right?
Why is the meeting with us? Why would it be with the county?
The county, it probably would be with the county, but it's going to have this, because the service agency is the service agency land, the county would be the one rezoning it, that's where most of the swapping is going to happen. But I can't guarantee you they will come to meetings here.
We're not rezoning, they are.
I understand. So, question, is this something that's worth us continuing forward? Is this something that look at this land and go, you know, there's some prime property there that it should be commercial property. You still retain the west piece over there where you can still build basically a nice facility or soccer fields over there. And this might help generate the money to do some of that.
You know, question. So Neil, in that piece of, that parcel was kind of on the, I'll call it the L, a little south side of that. In your conversations with Perry Homes, Bill Perry, did they indicate, you know, it was originally kind of designated as a conservation area? Did you approach or do you feel that there were comments where they said he was going one and one way to be done? Would you sense that there might be any opposition to a low-level building, one-half story on a building or something like that could involve recreation, indoor recreation facilities? Do you think that would be objectionable, or did you get that feeling from them?
Not at all. Not at all. The tricky part on that's just going to be that if that land isn't rezoned as wetland conservation land, you can build a park there, you can put a certain amount of impermeable surfaces, you can't take up more than, I think, I don't remember the percentage of what it is, but when we looked into it, you could do a handful of things, but, you know, the nice thing about what we're kind of talking about too is if we go to parking lot, when this is done, in the land that's deemed commercial, that keeps that out of your impermeable surfaces, you have conservation land as well, so, whatever.
Okay, and then one of the other questions, how do we give us your advice or I'm looking at the piece of property over here, you know, the one that is Jake Price.
Jake property.
And that's got X value, I mean, and right now Jake's getting a pretty good offer. And I guess I'm wondering about, okay, so we take that piece of property, could you maybe just step me through it one more time? I know you talked to the school board about this, but try to help me understand going from that piece of property to a piece of property over here along 36, and then the school board or the school trust fund has 5 acres or whatever somewhere else. Could you kind of enlighten me on that?
So there's a lot of hoops to jump through what we're talking about. The reality comes down to the property swap doesn't have to happen for you guys to want to do this, right? You could just go and say, let's rezone this land and let's try to do the best thing we can here, right? Forget the high school, forget the community part on that side. The other side of that is, can So, well, if that's something that can happen, that property can be swapped, and it just happens, and that property right now, we have to try to get the value of what that property is worth, and we would have to kind of move ahead to what we think your property could be worth, because right now, it's not worth a heck of a lot in the conservation, right? It's not eligible, it's not really anything other than a possible park where we can build a trail, right? But if it could be first property that is developed, that would be, how do we figure that fair swap, how do we figure out that route? That's gonna be a little bit tricky, but that's kind of where you're at. It's not an answer I have right now, but that's what, what it would take to go. Can we get taking enough property over this area, or sell enough property, favorite case, whatever, right? That's possible. And then does the school district give us some conservation land somewhere else, and possibly that land that can't have it, like, if development is part of that conservation, it would be part of that. Probably,
So there's a lot of what ifs, but what you presented, it seems like there's a lot of possibilities also.
There's possibilities, there's some positives, but yeah, I can't promise you that we're going to all that problem.
So, one of the things, as you look down 36 towards the floor, and you get down to the edge of it, or, boundaries toward the city, or fence lines down there. I can, or somebody, we could look at this property along 36 in the conservation area, and we could say, well, if we could make that commercial, okay, how do we access it? I think last time we talked about, we probably have to do something along Cambridge, like, develop a road and infrastructure down there. But access from 36, in my opinion, having dealt with UDOT from time to time, we're not too excited about having another access on 36. It's got to come in,
So, Jake Clay,
down that road.
as you guys, not only is the property owner, but he's also an engineer, and planner. And he kind of proposed the idea of a frontage road that would go through there. And it would be tricky to that around Wall Line and eventually make it to Church Road. Can be done? Yeah. That's another tricky thing, but that would be, when you think about junior high and high school, going down, junior high going up next year, right? It was open this year, I think, right? It's open now, okay. And so you've got all that, this is just one more thing, you have no businesses there, that's gonna become a crowded area, so if that frontage road could go through, there's one lot that would probably have to be purchased in between there and maybe,
So you're talking about the existing residents or something, is that
possible.
Right.
So those are some things that would have to kind of ease that traffic and then bring it out for regular roads are.
What about, when we talked about the south development, and then you talked about the lack of annexation. I understand that you're not a professional in all of that. Did Colin feel, did you get the feeling that you were pretty positive about that? You thought that was, a no-brainer, could happen in a heartbeat, or are we talking?
I think he feels pretty comfortable with it happening and being able to possibly get it all approved. The one thing he did mention to me today is, if you guys want to add it to one of your next board meetings, he would come down and chat with you guys in a board meeting, you guys would get a feel for if that's something board with or not. And so I think he said he was gone the 29th this month to the 2nd of July, but he would have another meeting this month, or the July, he can come down and start going through the nitty-gritty with you on that.
Well, I guess having heard this presentation this time and done some research on my own looking at it, I guess the one last question is, a piece of property next to Jake White, we're trying to trade and get equal value or somewhat better value for it, or better. then we drop right down, which is, it's not nothing, but it's not,
It's not leverage sheet right now.
yeah, it's not at its full. I guess I'm one person that would be interested in pursuing this a little bit to the next step. In fact, you and I had a discussion with regards to the recreation possibilities of Bottom L and possibly even, going further west if we.
It's a big parcel, there's a lot of things you can do over there for sure.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I mean, this obviously isn't an action item, but, we just, we would like to keep moving forward if it makes sense. If you guys are, what, this is worth it, we don't need to go down this road, we don't deal with the community might fight about it, fine. But if it's something that you're like, hey, let's keep entertaining this, let's pursue it, then we would keep doing that. But what other questions do we have? Rob, I'm sure you guys do.
Anybody else want to go?
Great, Rob.
So, I've got a drawing here that, I think this drawing back June 11, 2005. So I've been issued a lot of properties for a while now. And it makes no sense. I get it, it makes no sense. You've got 138 residents in a reserve, zero tax revenue. We talked about last time, zero tax revenue. Don't know who, why, how it became our property. So, one of the questions we
It was basically free property that we went after, where it's possible to use. Obviously, that comes with some folks on it. I can't say it's necessarily free, but it's your land, it does have some value.
right, so back on the value, it was recognized in 2021 as gifted land of $1,085,464. So, last time we had to get our land on the value, and you sell it for $500,000 on the books to recognize. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure that was very old in your tax. Right.
Sure, that's me. And obviously it comes with restricted covenants, right?
Right now.
Right now. So with restricted covenants, when they say you run the land, you put it to. So how does that?
The county is looking at the possibility that they could swap some land and talk with the people they can talk to see if that's possible. They recognize the perpetuity as well. So they're looking to see if they can jump to the right, to do that, make sure it's legal, make sure it's done right.
So specifically, one question, if you want to cut it down, in the restricted covenant, it talks about item 4.
Yeah.
It talks about the grantee will perpetually preserve the parcels as open space and enjoyment of public. On the previous page, it also talks about they shall run the land in perpetuity.
So there is right now more than half of it would still be kept as open space, still be kept as property that could be used for building and open to the public. So it would just be the commercial along Highway 36. And then if we do find out that we swap some land and has some conservation areas, that should still satisfy that, but you would have that park. If you're able to annex them in and you do own that property, that's the only area to put a park.
Yeah, this specifically states that this restricted covenant applies to all land. Another question we kind of talked about last time, just what exactly is your role here?
What is my role?
Are you representing the developer? Stansbury? Like,
The role for me was when Daryl and I talking about the opportunity to get this property by the school district. And then, if I had the opportunity to be part of the development, sure. If you guys are like, hey, we're going to do this, we want to use somebody else, that's fine too. Just because, to be honest with you, a certain this capacity, a certain other boards, I still like to try to use the community. This is still the right thing for the community. If we can get that land, or even get how they plan to make that part of this whole transition. Those are parcels that are important to the community. That's most of what it is.
You kind of mentioned on the annexation. Again, when I was doing this last time, I was talking more county. They basically were saying it's not going to be annexed unless Stansbury becomes state. And once you become a city, then you got to do the annex. Right now, that we're unincorporated, that doesn't stand a chance.
So talk with Colin Winchester was the county attorney, right? Back then, he thought there was a chance that then Lots of changes over there every year, so he's all looking into them. He's had a chance to look into them, he's had a chance to talk to the city planner, make sure, city manager, make sure he's not, in a conflict of interest in any way, so they approved him to go ahead and work on the service agency, if you guys can move forward with that. He feels like there's a way. I'm not aware, I don't know, I don't read all those things, I'm just gonna trust somebody that I think has a better legal mind than I do. Kasey, anything?
I've got the thing. So, sorry. I did exactly what John said, I'm leaning back, I'm not talking to the microphone. So I have a couple things. My first initial thoughts, for, I guess, the board to think about is, I think if we progress down this road of it being zoned commercially, that helps our valuation, right? Because now it's commercial, our rent price just went up. But I think we need to keep in our mindset, it's good for the community, but it also still has to be good for the community, our same sense of the service agency. I think the entire property has to come out of conservation. That's my opinion. I think the school has to, again, chunk of land.
Can you say that a little more?
Yeah, I guess. So, we're talking about the front half being commercial, right? That's our 36. And the far south end staying in conservation. I think the whole thing needs to come out of conservation. If we do this, I think the school needs to take the entirety, whatever that parcel is. How many acres is it? 100 change. I think the school district, that's their burden, right? They can take the conservation somewhere and take the entirety of it, which allows us to have more control. So you mentioned the rec center. It gives us more control and more ability to do what we want to do on our side. And I say that because I think we look at all these hoops at one time to get 6 acres made into commercial. I think we might as well just do all the hoops at once and make the whole thing out of the conservationship. Yeah, we can commercialize 6 acres of it, whatever. But I think, to me, I keep looking at what's the county getting at, or not county, sorry, the school district. What's the school district getting? They're getting a chunk of land right next to their tennis courts that they're never going to get any other way, like you stated. They've got to have some skin in the game. They're not paying for anything. So they must take conservation on 28 acres of their property somewhere else. And let that be their problem. So that's my first initial thought, right, is our conservation, let's not just take 5 acres out of conservation and make it commercial. The whole thing has to come out.
I would agree. I mean, we take the whole L-shaped piece and bring it, whether it comes out, one leg is commercial and the lower leg is something that allows us to do recreational facilities, whether they're buildings or grass. I would agree with that. If this was going to go forward, you got to take the whole chunk and make, because it's all spitball right now, but as you look at what's going down 36, I could see that being one activity, if you will, whether it's commercial or combination or something. But the back side, that, to me, from the recreation side, that's the key. To me, that if I was a resident of the reserves residences down there, if I could see something positive coming out of that lower lake, that was tied into recreation, like I said, it could be whatever. But then I see that as being a benefit, and a big benefit.
you're closer to your own facilities, if you will, as opposed to coming up to the middle of Stansbury Park, so to speak. And I can see that lower leg having the possibility to even develop a little bit further to the west, because some property owners over there that are looking to possibly get rid of their land.
So let me
And
comment on
that
that.
becomes an idea that I think is good for us.
So I'll just comment on that just from the county side of things, from the school district side. I don't disagree with you guys at all, but I think that makes a ton of sense. The trickiest part is going to be finding property, this meaningful property that can be put in that conservation easement, that the county will accept this meaningful property, that they're not all of a sudden going from something that they thought was something good back in the day to, you know, we went out to have a clause and put a pasture land in conservation. Or something like that, right? I don't know.
Right, right, and that's just my take on it, right?
No, I agree.
I think, the way I look at it, the school district's doing a heck of a lot, and they're not paying necessarily.
What did you say, you know, maybe the way, yeah, they get something that they apparently are vindicated to Neil or others, that we need or we want, we need that piece of property, we have a deep need, a desire to expand over there. Okay. We have a way to be able to get you property, but at the same time, we'd like to have your influence and your commitment that as we do a recreation facility that might further expand, further benefit your junior high and high school in the lower lake or adjacent to, we want you on board with us for construction costs or a portion or something. They got to put some skin in the game. They just can't get this for nothing.
Right, so that's my side, go to the school district. Well, so yeah, so that was my first one, go to the school district and the county, right? And to follow our orders, like it all has to need to line up for the county's gonna have to choose a lot of stuff to make it legal. So that's the first side of my thought. The second side of my thought is, I actually like this last bullet point. I think if we make the front part of that all commercial, like we're talking about, obviously our value was up. You mentioned $4 million back when we received the property, and kind of a valuation in black and white on paper. I would think, in the same entertainment, I would love to see if we can get cheap quality land out of this too, somehow. To me, that's truthfully, and I don't mean this as a school district bad in any way, I think that's a heck of a lot bigger rental service agency to get more quality. But that's just my opinion. So, my big question is, it's got to be the whole parcel that comes out of conservation. It can't just be 5 acres or 4 acres or whatever we end up valuing as fair that comes out that goes to jail. It's got to be the whole thing comes out.
He didn't want to deal with it at all unless it was all kind of set something up. So it has to be rezoned, it has to be number of feet. It has to have access to water, sewer, it has to have, all of these has to be willing to have that conversation, but it's also not in a hurry. But you guys can make that happen. That's something you want to talk about. So I agree with you that it's valuable property for the community there.
You say that's Jay?
That's Ken.
Oh, yeah.
So does anybody have strong, their thoughts of potential? Does anybody object to this?
So you don't ever see that have road access opportunity to come down this way?
Oh, we would take Cambridge all the way to Church Road. Hopefully that would be the case, we can reach the Church Road.
And you make a parking lot there at the end of the 5 acres?
Yeah, just with the parking lot of the very last lot that is by the road that goes into the well for the service district.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
So there's a road that goes into the improvement district as well, on the very, south end of the property. You just put a parking lot near that area, not by the well, but up by against 36 or whatever, over there.
Okay. Wayne, keep in mind, what we just talked about, if you put the parking lot in the last lot, in the event of conservation, that's why the parking lot can go there. If the whole parcel comes out of conservation,
The parking lot would be
the parking lot can go down on the south end by county recreation facility. It gives us more flexibility. So, keep that in mind.
So the first time you talked, I was really, didn't see any reason why we need to be in this. And this is a natural place for it to be commercial. It's going to be worth a lot, in 5 years, it's going to be worth a lot of money. If we can swap around, like for Rose Park or something like that, I would be interested, but just to give it to for the school board, I mean, I need more answers.
You got whatever questions you have, whatever you need to.
The more impressed down, I want the first time.
You got anything?
No, I just want to be fair, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, I promise you guys that we're not gonna try to skirt in the state or county or whatever issue. We're gonna be sure that, it's done, that it matches the criteria that needs to match. And obviously you guys will get say in it all along the way.
If there's an opportunity to annex, that's the biggest thing for me, right? If this is where you have the conversation, Chairman, I'm ending in, and I'm saying, we're gonna annex all the properties that are in question. So,
Real quick, Colin sent me his email too, and at this point, I'm gonna let you reach out to him. That's now up to you guys. His email is he is an elephant, R's and Roger, 5862@gmail.com. Hope you have that on public.
Can you send that to me?
You said LRER 5882@gmail.com.
Is there any, would it feel strongly not to continue this dialogue? Okay, thank you. Keep moving ahead, keep having some discussion. Thanks for that. Okay, we will go to, item number 6, presentation of preliminary plans for Oscarson Park by Greenbelt.
Everybody?
So, Blue Line couldn't make it tonight, so I'm gonna run through these for you quickly. There are 236 total responses to the survey we sent out. The top 5 individual ones are shown there. Shade structures was first, obviously, then the all abilities program, picnic tables, pickleball, and a pump track. They also had 79 responses that listed something else. The first one there was a splash pad. We've all talked about the issues there. Dog park, I'm surprised the walking trail was lower than it is. Soccer and field goal, soccer with goals, and trees and landscaping, which I think we put in anyway. So those are the survey results. Blue Line took that, looked at the cost. So this is the relative cost of doing everything. They're all pretty steep, especially at the top end. There is an opportunity for a lot of these to leverage some grant money, cut those costs down, but we have to look at plans and how you leverage that and what you do with them. So they initially put together 3 plans. This was the first one that included a lot of stuff at a $3,225,000 price tag. Included a full parking lot, included a pump track, had some open lawn area, but it pretty much used a lot of stuff in there that everybody wanted. This is the second one, not much cheaper. Large pavilion, they didn't do anything in the detention pond, put playground in and more stuff. They also sent us this one, was $2.3 million. A little less stuff, the cost is still pretty high, so after I got those three, I said, look, let's do something simple to start with. If you want to have plan future use for all of this stuff, then you lay it out as a future area to do that, and you adjust it accordingly when you build it. So the bare bones one that they put together is about what I figure we will have available, which is simply an open area of trees, probably a little walking trail, and at least a grass irrigation in there, cut down the dirt over there.
Where's the bathroom at?
Bathroom's already in place, it's right there.
That's it, wait.
So, go ahead.
So Jim, this is $1 million to do what we've got here. I know that during some of the planning meetings, and we talked about the possibility of, okay, we only have $175,000 or whatever we've got. Is it still possible to go back, like one picture, maybe another one? Is it still possible to be able to say, do this one only, with the trail or the sidewalk or running around there and leave the spots or have the spots available so that maybe in another year or 2 years we're able to do phase 1 basketball courts or phase 2 special playground or something like that. Did they give you the opinion that if we only do the $975,000 one right now, that we would never be able to go back to this?
No, and that's what I said, you design it to be expanded. So you look at where you would like to put a pickleball court down the road. When it becomes available, we have that area already marked out, we have irrigation set up. Well, it's not a major effort to take the irrigation down.
It'd still be grass.
Be grass to start with.
To start with. Yeah. That was a big complaint, and I went over to talk to them.
Yeah. I did spend some time talking with Corey Bullock, who lives there, and also is the county trail county rec guy. He said people undervalue just open space, where people can go and sit and have a good time, and not necessarily have a lot of amenities. I think we would probably want to look at some point in time, pretty close, putting some kind of playground structure in there. But for the most part, I think you could expand that however you wanted. But it'd be nice to have that laid out in ahead of time so that you know where stuff's going to go when you get to that point. So that's sort of their plans. I think they're looking for feedback from us as to where you think we want to go.
So on the minimum one, when we do with retention pond, is it just going to be dirt?
Yeah, nothing in there right now. We've had some discussion, I've had some discussion with an Oscarson. We'd like to put a mini disc golf thing in there, and there's potential to put rubber mat or mulch in there. It does not float, so it should not be an issue with the detention pond area. But I'd like to do some more looking at that and see if that's actually a possibility. The other possibility is, in talking to the guys at Grand America, there is a possibility that you could have the pump track put in that lower area and do like 90% of it on grant money from various sources. So that would be something we want to explore, what you want to do in that detention pond area. We also talked about maybe moving, instead of going this way, adding a section of the trail that goes this way. If you put some stuff out here like mental capability improvement stuff, there's also grant money to get some of that. That was part of the original plan, is you build this trail, but you add stations where people can go and exercise or do things that way. health dimension and those kind of things, and you need a lot of grant money to do that kind of stuff.
Is there a parking lot?
There is no parking lot in this design. We talked about, maybe some type of small parking area here, as opposed to the larger parking lot up here, parallel parking down here. And that was one thing we talked before. He said, you got to decide what you want your park to be. You want it to be a neighborhood park, you want it to be a destination park, a community park. What do you want to be? The size of this really lends it more to being sort of a neighborhood park. It's sort of a tweener between that and a larger park, but it's really more. And one thing he said is, if you put this large parking lot in, you're telling people to come to this park, as opposed to putting just a few parking spots in this one. And so, if somebody wants to travel and use it, but you don't have a lot of people using that as a destination park.
So the thing about, go back to your,
Which one?
that road,
That one?
either one.
That one?
Okay. No, the other one.
Because
Keep going, one more.
Go ahead.
Okay, okay. The thing that I'm not saying I have an answer, because, you know, one of the things that, we need to consider, if this is going to be a, you know, a neighborhood park or a regional park or whatever, developing that parking lot now, even if it's half the size, it's something. You know, planning for the future to have maybe some pickleball or anyway, you take the 3 or 4 options that they've given to us, and you look at saying, okay, we like this option as an example, or we like option B, whatever it happens to be. We know how difficult it was to do a parking lot down the road here, okay? And we know that parking is a bigger deal than we might consider, simply because, you know, people park along the side of the street, and some streets are developed to be collector streets, so they're wider, and some are just arteries going out through an artery. And you get people parked on both sides of the street, you get potential for accidents, kids running out in the street or something. So as we consider, I guess I'll just suggest that you may want to consider looking, okay, long-term, what's my long-term? Is my long-term option A, or is my long-term option B, or whatever the hell long-term happens to be for you? And make sure that we lay out amenities such as parking or the playground area, whatever, just so that we don't have to come back in and spend so much money on a hardscape half the time. That costs more money. Okay, getting that done up front is it's another way to do it. It's less expensive as opposed to come back in and tear shit out and start all over.
Yeah, the issue could be what you have available.
Yeah, so look at the 3 or 4 options I would want to give us. And if you like those 4 options, say, okay, I want to plan for option B as a certain option B there.
Before you do it,
Just as an example. You know, yeah, I like option B, but I would like to have some more parking. So I'm saying over here by the basketball court, maybe we should put some parking in there. I'm just giving this, I'm just saying something so that we think 5 years down the road or 8 years down the road, hey, you know, we really would like to have some parking, and we're stuck. We can't do it, or it's so expensive to do it that it doesn't make sense. So I would say, you know, okay, really draw us in a parking lot over there by the basketball court or something. And let that be the master plan, if you will, for that area, that Gloucestershire Park, and then only build the 975,000 right now for portion thereof. And then, okay, 2 years from then, they'll say, okay, phase 2 is going to be, put a circle around what phase 2 is and phase 3 is. But that, I just know that over there on Liberty Boulevard and down around, what's that park called? Rose Park and people parking on grass or parking in the streets. I am surprised that we haven't had a kid get T-bone down there on Village Boulevard. I mean, football, soccer, whatever we got going down there. I don't know how the hell we haven't had some kid get down there. There's a park on both sides of the street. And if you I don't care how fast you drive, if you're driving 5 miles an hour down there, they're pumping out like popcorn.
Woodland particularly is tight as you get up towards the west end of that street.
This is about, I've counted the retention pond, this is about the same size as the Woodland Park.
Very close.
Right, and which is a community, and there's
Neighborhood park.
between 1 and 3 cars every day.
Yeah.
And that's by the playground. The one over, one guy playing basketball, and then there's the people sitting, and it's real busy, but there's not that many cars because it's a community, parking lot. I mean, park. And so that's what I think, because it's not that big to have all that garbage stuff in it.
Let me point a few things out to you that I noticed, and I know these are preliminary ones. One, parallel parking in that option is $50,000, and that's probably 10 to 15 stalls of parallel parking right there. If you notice, it says hardscape 250, parallel parking 50. If you go back to option A, there's no parking in option A.
That, which I like the way of that. Lots of parking at the parking. They got that one.
There's no way. So I didn't see the option. I was looking for parking lot. There's no way because we just spent $500,000 on this parking lot down here. Yeah. And if you look, okay, they're giving you, I didn't count them, it looks to be about 25 stalls right there. You can accomplish the same thing with the parallel parking that they're cutting in, right? I mean, there's that draw at the cut in, so they're off the street. I agree with you, parking. I will agree with you that it has to be there.
It doesn't have to be a parking lot. I'm just saying, I like to suggest that you gotta get the cars off the street. Just bumping them in halfway through that parking lot, if you will, the parallel park, is certainly better than having them take out of the 70 feet or 80 feet just cross that thing and take it up 20 on both sides. They're all the same. You can't get nothing through there.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I would agree. I think as we go through, I think on top of all of that, look, Kyle, you're going to be better at this than I am. Site furniture, $150,000. I don't know what you want. A few benches and some tables. I think these numbers, I think you can look at the design and say, yeah, we all like option C with this one extra fee. And I think we need to get grass down there no matter what, because it's a dirt bowl, we need to get that side of the road.
What was that last sentence?
I think we need to get grass there no matter what, because it's just dirt bowl right now. The whole thing is just dirt, right? I'm saying we need to get grass at least on this end.
Yeah,
Even if we do the bare.
Everything down in that hole, we're not gonna improve. Vegetation down there, we could put a pump tractor or something. I'm not gonna improve vegetation.
I was lying before, however, this is the right way. To me, this is a really bad preliminary. That's just my opinion. All of them, the pricing is really, really off. I mean, we know that, just in the parking lot alone, we know that.
Would they give you guidance though? Like, if you're able to pick and choose all these different things, if you start off with a budget, we need to park about 1.5.
I don't think they were giving me guidance, but I also.
Yeah, they were doing what they thought are.
Where are they pulling these numbers from? That's where I'm like, okay, if we take the parking lot out of that and parallel parking is now $50,000, and sidewalks, trails, and hardscape is now $250, where are they pulling, right? Basically, we're looking at a real pretty picture that John, Wayne, Kyle, any of us could have drawn up and slapped numbers up there, like, yeah, I think it's $300,000 for parking. That's how I feel at the moment, looking at it.
Well, we can take a nice design with long-term maintenance ideas.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right?
Every building.
$200,000.
I agree, I think every building that we're building over there, or henceforth, needs to be, needs to be wash-proof, it needs to be bulletproof, it needs to, vandal-proof. We saw examples of when we were interviewing different architects, of buildings that they claimed were, more vandal-proof than others, okay? Did they cost more? Yeah. But to the idea of having to do annual maintenance or any maintenance or minimal, yeah, they can do that. And as far as talking about, where do they get these prices? Hey, if we don't like you, if we think they're over, they've got guys on their, let's say they're on their staff, they're part of their team that are preparing these cars. All we have to do is go back and say, hey, we think we just built a parking lot up here for X thousands of dollars. We spent this much on just the parking lot, the concrete and asphalt. We can pick that out and go back and say, hey, we don't think this is right. Would you check this again because our experience is it's blowing. And then have them reprice it and see it. I mean, it may be $350,000.
I would just say for us, like, I'm looking at it as,
$500.
we preliminary, let's say we offer preliminary agreed to take option B. Then there's that creep cost, right? That's what we call it, it's creep cost. All of a sudden, when we quoted you $75,000 for an off-street parking, and now you're going to go for $300,000.
Well, and that's why we, I don't mean to interrupt you, Kasey, but that's why we, I would suggest that, if we come to, let's say we're looking at B or whatever we're looking at, we ask them to nail that down tighter and look at that based on, we've done a lot of construction here. We've done enough, but we didn't pull out the turnip truck yesterday. And we can figure that out and see if it's reasonable. And there's nothing to say, at least in my opinion, there's nothing to say that option B or A or whatever the hell option you pick, you design or build a portion, kind of like option, I'll say D, I don't know what it is. But, and then gradually over 5 years or 6 years, you get to this, or you get to B or something. I would ask us to kind of look at it that way. One last comment that I have with regards to this basin over here. I know there's one individual that is pretty intense on something happening down at that bottom, and I've listened to his comments and suggestions, and I've done some research into some of the things he's asked for. I know Jim has, particularly different types of foot golf and frisbee golf or something like that. And what may look great on green grass, in my opinion, doesn't look so great on salt grass. Doesn't play very well on salt grass. But that being said, I think we ought to look at the possibility of doing something. Jim says there's a possibility of doing a pump track with a grant or something like that. I don't know whether that answers the question of this particular individual or not, but I know that we got to do something. We all think, I think we all know that. I would just, I guess, looking at it right now, you know, if I was to take and draw a line at the retention basin and focus on the stuff to the south, that would be where I would say, yeah, this is the direction we have to go. But plan for, say, a trail that goes around the outside of this. But I can't in good conscience say that where that pump track is, that isn't the best thing that could go there, because I can't, I don't believe there's a prayer in hell that you can grow a tree, a piece of grass, or anything down. Nothing. I had it tested. The guy that came back from Utah State said, you can't grow jack here. What you got is what you got. And you're not going to improve it. I don't give a damn if you put 2 feet of topsoil in there. The leaches up, you know, anyway, I'm lecturing. I don't want to lecture. I'm just telling you. Think this far out. Go this back for now.
And I understand what you're saying. I'm probably the same individual. Kind of many conversations, but my expressed comment back, I understand. They may want to see one thing and then I will say it in a frank way. One doesn't outweigh the other. And you want a parent and kid, then okay. I don't want to upset the people that live there because you have somebody, well, I want this there, I understand that. We've done all this work, there's 236 other people that said, we want this.
You go back to the, let's not do it, number one. Go back to the whole.
The voting, right?
Yeah, voting. I would have never put a splash pad in there, but.
You never put what?
I would have never put a splash pad, I would have never told them to.
It's not an option, right?
Yeah, it's not an option.
I don't think you did. That's just something that came.
They always have.
That's the residents.
It probably carried over from
These were all right.
These are all right.
Yeah, everything above that was suggestions.
Yeah, that's why when we got the staff from Blue, they put other up there as like number 4, but it's really a bunch of little stuff added together, including, we will never put a splash pad out. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says, it's too expensive. We just had this discussion at the Trails, Utah Trails meeting yesterday. Splash pads are almost as expensive right now as what they're doing with water handling. That's what they're doing with wastewater.
So I guess I would focus on safety structures. I would focus on, if we don't have the money for the playground, then
A place for it.
or, you know, you account for it.
Yeah.
And the picnic tables, and pickleball,
All around is just grass.
yeah. It's in my opinion, the acreage isn't there.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at too. It's a community park.
So what's
But
the budget?
contract, I would,
What's the budget are we shooting for the design unit and then long-term maintenance?
You said 900,000.
I gave them $1 million to the target. So that was
Right now?
Huh?
And then they chose for it now?
Well, that was if you did what everybody wanted, that's where you got the 3.5.
yeah, they're just going off of the community.
Yeah.
So you can plan towards that, but.
You're right, that's what I'm saying. We need
Well, I guess
to-
my question, my thing is if we're planning for A, then that,
That grass goes, it's plans for grass A only. We're not gonna come back and rip it out.
right,
Bill,
Right.
yeah,
it's gonna be designed.
Yep.
If that's what we decide, and I don't know, we're all consensus right now of what we're doing, but then we pick off one project that.
phase one, phase two, phase three,
We're not ripping anything out, it's gotta be all pre-designed,
yeah.
but Brock's got a great point. We're just, now we're throwing money,
It becomes
developing
like,
more projects. Like,
what kind of recreating then, the building? Is it 500,000, 700,000, 2 million?
Well, if you look at-
Projects.
If you look at Brigham Park, there's 2 smaller pavilions, those are very inexpensive.
Yeah, you can get the thing.
If you want something like this four ways, that's a lot pricier.
So how do we move forward and try to figure out what we end up,
Well,
I go with?
I think I heard pretty clear, we're looking at the lower end of these and looking to decide what we want to put in there ultimately. I think what we need to do is, there's a list. If this, what do you want it to be when it grows up? When you're done with it, what will it finally look like if you get stuck in it? You want to put pickleball courts down there, or is that not something you want to do down? Basketball court, we can eliminate stuff off this list that we would not plan for in the future. So that would be my thing. Let's get back to them. Okay, build us a design that starts at the low end and puts in maybe one or two other amenities down the road.
So Jim, can we, are these, is this presentation, is it available on Dropbox? Is it there or not?
Yes, you could pick this up. I can also send you the plans separately if you would like.
So can we, I don't remember the schedule that Sean worked out with those guys. When was it that they needed to move forward? They did the third phase two, was it the 1st of July or?
So the target date to have a sort of final drawing for final review is Stansbury, which is.
Right, they gotta have direction from us way before that, so.
Yeah, I'd like to get it back to them in a couple of weeks at the latest.
Well, the $1 million plan, is that all, going to be all impact fees, or is that,
All impact.
we're not going to be able to get any?
Well, all impact fees. What I've been trying to do is leverage grants off of those impact fees. For example, the trails of the amphitheater was billed as an impact fee. We got a $200 plus up from a grant to help us offset those costs. The more money I can save building that trail, the money that can feed back into here, and the more money we save off this, can go into something else. So the idea is to leverage every dollar we've got that's an impact fee dollar with the grant.
I think if you can set this out, what's our next book meeting?
Middle of July.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, we got,
Well, I think.
the architect doesn't have.
We get feedback and they can send us a second information.
We're gonna send it out to the public, we're sending it out to us.
Right?
So that's what I would say, if you send it out to us, and we say, as board members, we all need to have an input back by July 1. I like B, you like A, I want availability, all of them want splash pad. And just list it out, and then I think we have to vote on it. No. We don't have to vote on it, that's just,
Well,
on the board, we can say, okay.
You don't necessarily have to hold on, but you gotta come to some kind of.
That's the agreement.
By the time they do the designing and Stansbury days, you can't be in a situation coming back saying, oh, hell, I don't like this anymore, I wanna do that. Once we tell them on July 1 or the end of June or whatever, this is the direction we're gonna go, the 6 of us have gotta be unified in supporting that direction. Well, whatever day it is, the final run is August 16th. They got a lot of work to do before.
Can we find out how much
direction, they got a lot of work to do between now and then.
We find out how much shade bridge there is on that south side, the flash retention. Do we know how much shade bridge that is?
It's, I think it's 2.5 acres.
Yeah, isn't the whole thing 5 and they're about 8.
So about half.
So it's not half.
And how much is Woodland Park?
Yeah.
Just to me,
It's probably 1.75.
So it's more than Woodland Park.
I just want to say something about the parking lot. This is a small park. I don't know if you need a parking lot for this small park. The other, and John, I don't.
Oh, that's okay.
I know what I deal with, parking lots bring problems. And they become drug places to go to, so that's also something that I'm looking at, and like, I'm okay with the street parking.
So would you find out how to have parallel parking that's kind of offset of the street?
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, I just would not use it on that park around.
I personally like that, no problem with that. You get your playground, you have shade structure, you have nice green space.
Yep.
My question is, I feel like it's a big gap from, it's like 1.5 acres. It'd be nice if you see something almost between the sea and the ocean.
Well, and that's.
Indeed, yeah, I agree.
I was surprised to talk to my based on what we were seeing on B and A, come down to that one, and that's not much of a draw based on.
Well, what you picked up, what you picked up.
Yeah, you're keeping the trail all the way around, so don't do that. I mean, you do that later, but just focus on the middle of that way.
Well, let me ask you guys one other question. Okay, I mean, consider this. You see all those trees that are in what I call the park strip? Those trees, most of our park strips are like 4 or 5 feet wide, maybe not even 5 feet wide. And in a few years, I've got tree roots that are popping on my sidewalks from, I don't care wherever you walk, they are. And in my opinion, I wouldn't put a tree one in those park strips. In fact, I would consider, from the back of the curb to wherever the sidewalk is, I'd make that solid concrete. Because at some point in time, guys, somebody is going to have to come down through here and snowplow that hill. And guess what? You can't plow that. I mean, you put our guys are out here right now, plowing snow in places with a 4x4 out there, with a 4-foot blade or something like that. They're freezing their butts off. Now, circle that on another, well, I agree.
All right.
You can buy more expensive equipment, but I mean, give me a sidewalk that's wide enough that I can put the equipment.
I agree.
Okay? So all I'm saying is please consider whether trees around as a, everybody likes to say, oh yeah, it's Bay Windy, it looks really nice, and blah, blah, blah. Those same people are the ones that get to come back, and with the new law that's in place from the county, certain entities may, it says, be responsible for replacing sidewalk, curb gutter, blah, 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 whatever comes up that is from tree roots.
Do we legally,
I don't want to plan that.
do we legally have to have a park strip?
Well, that's something that we need to talk to Raquel.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
Well,
Like you're saying,
okay, in the county planning and zoning and in the development section, when they talk about subdivisions and things like that, they say, okay, you're required to have a tree, trees and park strips, and you're going to have this park strip. I'm saying, not from day one, not from July 1st, forward, to hell with that. I'd rather have a wider sidewalk, or some people wouldn't, but that's okay.
I'm with you, I don't want trees there, I'm saying, instead of having a park strip.
And maybe that park strip is full of rocks, I don't know. But I'd rather have a wider sidewalk than a tree in a park strip that they want to show.
I'm with you, not having the trees in the park strip, having a wider sidewalk, I'm completely on board.
One thing I've noticed about architects, they love to put trees.
Yeah.
But they never have to go back and fix them, they never have to go back and trim them, and they never have to go back.
Okay, let's go ahead and send an email out to Jim, and let's allow us to comment personally, on our suggestions, and we kind of work through this process and kind of figure out what we need to do and end up with. Right.
So this plan right here is just grass and trees, some irrigation, the bathroom's already there.
No,
Got to tell the electrical line is also going to put it in it.
The
We get rid of half of those trees, we have for cost.
Yeah, that's why I said, I think you can get an option C if you start taking out, we're gonna take out the trees, we're not gonna do this, try that, get closer to.
Maybe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a reminder on trees. I know Brett doesn't like trees, but it sounds like he doesn't like trees.
Well, I like trees, I just don't like them
But
there.
guess where you go when it's hot?
Tree.
Underneath the tree.
Well, just not in Park Street.
I agree with that.
Okay, let's move on to general manager update, please.
Okay, so everybody's asking about the pool. Aquatech came in and they revamped the pool system. This is the boiler setup right now. Those are our boilers that are back. They've been completely descaled. And one thing we had to do that I think helped with the flow rate was this middle boiler right here is a new, or filter is a new one, because this top had broken and they were trying to fit it on. I think we were losing some of our flow through that. Unfortunately, you can't just buy the top because they've changed the design. So we had to buy a whole new boiler or filter in that place. For the future, you will probably end up replacing these at some point in time. It's about $4,000. Overnight.
So how many times do they flush it a day, for how long?
They're doing one bath flush a day for about 5 to 7 minutes. It's about 1,000 gallons. Trying to check my numbers. Is that what you're doing?
That's working okay. That flush is working.
Yeah, it works fine. The flow rate in making these adjustments has gone from about 160 gallons per minute to 260. So we gained that much flow, which appears to solve the problem with the heater. Once we got that in installed, came right up to temperature, health temperature response. So, and we are the same ones that were in there. John said he's looked at, had talked guys and a lot of people use those. Those are pretty good heaters. They just need to be installed properly. Once I get the bill, I'm going to write that document and say, you owe some money off the bill because you screwed up the install. So at any rate, that's what the pool is. It's operating fine. First, the swim team started this week, has been swim lessons. Both of those were at 90%. We are seeing less out-of-area use, which we expected with the new pool, and even some lesser use from our people in the Stansbury, but we are seeing significant use in it. So we're in the process of restoring the grounds before we built that. This is behind the pool area. This is the first lake. We're moving down that frontage area. We basically are putting grass down, letting it heal for 2 weeks, and then moving on to the next one. They're restoring, making sure that the irrigation is restored in front of that. So we're working right on down. I'm going to keep them right on going down the front of the pond area, so the lake area, so that we can restore some of the area that need to be restored. On the golf course, they're basically working on 2 areas. This is a big area off, I think it's 4.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, so all of this was running on a 100 timer. They're in the process of moving that onto the weather track installer. They're waiting for a pedestal to come in before they finish that install. This is the section over behind my house that's not been watered for probably 15 years. We have the parts and pieces that are starting to run the lines down here. We have a new controller back up over this way that they're going to tie into. And then we're going to do this section and get it back in water so it actually looks like a golf course instead of a dirt track.
So what did you say that they're waiting on?
Pedestal for the pedestal mount for the weather track controller. Over on the parks, we're working heavily on two areas. You've probably seen a lot of work going up on this area, which is the Mill Pond Park area. They restored the lines under here. We've installed the weather track controller in the shack up here, and that will be eventually controlling all of these at this area. We're planning for this area, we put the soundball trail segment in here. We're waiting for the final plans to come back from inside and look at what we're going to do down in here. And this is the area leading up from the clubhouse coming up. At some point in time, we've got a short in the system. So we're in the process of trying to trace that down so we can bring this weather track controller up online to control. This will basically go from here up to the parking lot, and this is on the other side of the parking lot.
So the controller has more power?
Oh, whatever you know. Okay. So it starts out at 120 by here and ends up at 40.
So the area that's right there that looks like they're here, no, the other picture.
That's on the downslope of the hill.
Yeah, that, we don't have anything over there, that's across the block.
Right. No.
Oh,
This side over here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I did have a discussion with the Department of Wildlife Resources about control on the park. I had both the enforcement guy and our representative at the DWR. Chris Rhea, who is the enforcement person, said that he is making visits out here, he is stopping people and talking to them. So I sort of asked him, what are you seeing out there? He said he's not seeing a lot of Stansbury residents in the green spaces. He's seeing a lot of people from outside of Stansbury. The mix that he's seeing is roughly 50% from people in the valley and 50% from people coming out from the Salt Lake Valley area. We did talk about the increased presence in the dock area. One of the issues he had with enforcement over here is it's got to, like the county, it's got to be in their ordinance, it's got to be in their fishing regulation for him to really do anything. But he said he can come and talk to people, try and move along. I did talk to Chris about what they stopped. They put about 2,000 3-inch largemouth bass in 24. And then in 25, they put in some channel catfish, about 2,000 catfish, and then they put another 2,000 this year. They will also be doing a fish survey in July, and they talked about maybe introducing some other species to include whitehorse, which is a white bass crappie. I did have some discussions with the county manager about help with enforcement out here. I need to probably go back and talk to him, and he was going to talk about the ordinance path. It sounds like he sent something because, as I mentioned before, the county attorney is now writing the ordinance to go before the county board. County roads, I talked to them. Remember we talked about redlining from the parking lot? It was interesting. His take is he would not support redlining around the area of the clubhouse until alternate parking can be provided. He said, I sort of like the parking on the street because that slows people down naturally. He also talked about they can pick some lines on there that sort of look like speed bumps, but they're not really speed bumps, so they may do that. I did get them to agree to redline that area on our side of the street up from the elementary school, so I get the people who are taking their kids to school off of our sprinkler system. They like to park on there and that screws up the sprinklers. So they are going to do that. I did have some discussions about areas that they own, but we maintain, and I'm going to have to probably continue that discussion with the county about maintenance of those areas and what kind of help we can do something with those areas.
What areas specifically are you looking at?
The area over behind our property listing, and the Village Parkway Center Street is still not in ours. I'm still working that issue. We are, in the meantime, we do have a plan that Mary gave me for what we maybe want to do with those center strips, but I'll bring that next time to see how everybody feels about her plan. A few odds and ends, we did continue the treatment of the trees on both Village and Parkview. They were treating those for borers, so we had that done over the last couple of weeks. We're working on an arborist to come out and tell us what to do with the other trees in terms of trimming, what we think we need to do with those. I know there's some I'd like to be taken out, but I need to see what we can do as far as replacements. One of the things that cropped up when we talked about the Simon parking, I did spend some time talking with them, and one of the big issues is what is the expected return from Diamond if we put parking meters out there. They expected it would be about $50K a year, and they based that on the fact that they have a couple of similar places where they have resident use that's allowed without parking, the size of the parking lot, what they expected to be used. Those places did not include golf courses, which would be an additional use I don't think they accounted for. The key is, it's not necessarily about what we're going to get in terms of revenue, control of the lake and reduction of the people coming from Salt Lake. I just told you there were 50% of people coming from Salt Lake and outside the area. And that's a significant portion of what we're seeing out here. So we still would have the issue they're going to move the park somewhere else. So I guess the question is, do we want to continue that discussion? Do we think it's worthwhile? That's a discussion if you want to go on with that.
So, we talked about it for a minute or not?
It's up to that.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So, it seems, I thought a lot about this situation. We were here last night, they were over here to talk about it different times today. Just in my opinion, I want to protect the golfer, I want to make sure the golfers have it. We've talked about different ways to make sure that they aren't being charged for golf or parking. And the residents, but, just trying to kick her from here, in my opinion, from here over to, Spit, perhaps along the road. And I don't think it's fair to Spit to kick them over there, and I don't know. This is one of those situations, I agree. I think this is one of those situations where I'm looking at parking a lot.
It's building, that's right.
But had the guys that planned this 50 years ago, 60 years ago, thought about that, maybe they would have made a bigger parking lot. I don't know what the hell they would have done, but it just, we're always starving for that, and yet, and I don't want to discourage any golfers from coming out here and saying, oh yeah, well, we got to park, or we got to go get a ticket back and forth. They find that irritating, or I don't know how they proceed, but I'm really struggling with charging people to park out here, but I don't have an answer that says, how the hell do I keep people out of here that don't pay to help us? And you come over here, I tell you what, guys, let's see something interesting. Come here at 8:30. About from 8:30 to 9:30, 10 o'clock. Tell me how busy this park lot is there. What the hell is going on? I guarantee you, it sure is like the swimming pool, and it sure is like the golf course. Okay, and so I'm saying, okay, are these guys local? I guess maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. I got guys running through here with their electric scooters, electric motorbikes, electric motorcycles. Down there, with an accident right out here in the parking lot, you know, because they run around, no headlights, no lights, period, and no regard for any kind of traffic. So I don't know. I understand the need, but I don't have an answer, and I struggle with, you know, saying, well, we're gonna charge people to park here. Like, they're not, except on special occasions, they're not gonna go clear the hell out to no park, they're not. I mean, you can see that right now. The only guys that are down in Oakland Park are going down there still driving on pond. And, maybe when they finish up the area down there by the amphitheater, maybe there will change, I don't know, but I struggle with that particular idea.
I came to meet you last night.
No, I said, yeah, you're not alone in that route. It's tough.
So when I came to the meeting last night, by actual meeting, there were probably 10 people on the putting green, and that's all they were doing. They were paying for golf, and this is what the golf course is for. They father and son and staff. Well, I don't want to discourage that, you know, with any type of parking, I guess. I don't have an answer. I've been looking a lot.
Well, the people are coming, and right now they're parking along the streets and curbs. If they're not going this direction, it may be uncomfortable to kind of figure out how to fit the golfers in and those types of things, but if we could figure out a way for, even if it's on the street curb parking, it's gonna have to be all the way up to there, to the frontage road, it's gonna have to apply on Lakeview. And it's gonna have to apply to Spit parking lot. I hate to see that the only way to enforce something to make that, we can't put a red, no parking along the side of the road, because people are gonna find other places to park. In my mind, for it to work, we're just gonna have to continue to allow them to park on the street, and you can have the metering sign that if you park anywhere on that front road coming down or the lake, you know, over here, you're gonna have to pay for parking. And, you know, it's a tough situation to deal with. We just don't seem to have enough parking spots. And maybe if we can figure out how to make it work, then we use some of this money, and maybe figure out how to put a parking lot over here on the other side of the pavilion and create more spots for people to park.
Going down, but you can always build a high rise.
Parking lot, little three-story,
Those stalls will only cost you about $4,000 a stall.
yeah. So, anyway.
So the right president of Jim a few weeks ago was talking numbers before 120 stalls. Half were going to be exempt because of golf. And then now you're down to 60. He said about half of those remaining are going to be staying for residents. I have a hard time believing that it's 4 times government's coming here and trying to
This is a problem out there. That's the problem out there right now.
I get the problem.
Those aren't golfers out there.
But I'm just totally going to come out from Salt Lake and try to manage 15 stalls.
Yeah. I don't know the answer. And I gotta think about it a lot. So when we put the parking lot where the tennis courts are, would they let us do that?
Kelly, well, interesting story on that. I don't know, it was around 2012, when they widened this area, the county was gonna pay for additional parking over here, give it to us, and the board voted it down. So anyway, let's keep thinking about it, see how to solve the problem.
So I'm gonna put it that line here, here, 5. I'm gonna log 1 in. What's the risk to us? We're not paying for anything, we're getting an enforcement officer that can call the police if they show up. So now we've got kind of this paid security, it's not really security. We have somebody here that can say, hey, our kids out here burning up from the truck. They can call the sheriff. I'm just paying that salary, not us. Based on everything that we've seen so far from their estimates, I don't see a dollar figure coming from the service. Right? We're not paying a dime to enforce the parking 2 times, right? They are surely working on whatever they may want to park. So I look at it from the risk factor. What's our risk? I agree. The golf course, they have to. If they pay for golf or if they go to Pine Green, I'm going to say it in a blunt way. Every single person sitting here has one of these. It's a QR code. It's not that freaking hard to do. They can scan the QR code and the park is going. It happens everywhere in Salt Lake. It's not hard. I just don't see a lot of risk to us, and I see a lot of value in it. Now you've got Officer Paul Millard from Diamond Parking that drives to his parking lot at 2 in the morning and calls the sheriff when somebody's trying to walk on that wall or jump in the pool because they just happen to be here to see it. We're not paying that salary, so
Can we gate that at 8:30,
You gave what?
the parking lot?
Like 8 entrances, so you have to have 8 gates.
but you're right back to now we're paying a salary for somebody who works 10 o'clock at night and close the gate. We're not paying the salary.
So what I asked, Kasey, was that in the proposal, right? If you're diamond, you're now with the expectation that you're gonna be able to monitor 120 cars, not 30. Right? And of the 30 remaining, that's not factoring in the handicap and what we gave them for the snow shack. So you've asked the people to vote up in the agreement based on 120 cars, they're not gonna get it, or we need to reach. And then it's gonna dissolve. That is not the quote you're giving them. The quote is for a full parking lot, and that's not what we want to offer.
Right. So I'm with you on that side of it. They have to be under the expectation of this could be 30% of their graduate. But I stand by. As a business owner of any sort, if I come in and quote something, I'm paying that. I don't see a dollar that we have to pay to have them, if it doesn't work for them, they'll come to us, right? They'll come to us in 4 months and say, this isn't working. Okay, great. We went down that route. What risk did we incur? Zero. Nothing. Well, we got somebody here to enforce parking. We got someone here to call the sheriff's if they're here. And we learned to do it. I mean, it takes $1 to do it.
These guys are like,
Correct.
I thought these guys were still working like
Yeah.
9 in the morning till, I mean, there's not actually a person here. There's a sign out there that says, you know, put in your $5 in here for 2 hours or something from 8 till.
They scan.
Well, how?
It's a QR code and they send the person.
Yeah, well,
Just like they do.
How public do you validate or how does that work?
Yeah, so they're not all, so you run down to Salt Lake, you pay for parking in Salt Lake.
Right.
You just scan the QR code and they have people that drive by and check the license plate to see if you scan in for that particular part or that particular car, into the parking system. And that's what they would do. They would drive through the parking lot, I was talking to them, they thought it would be about every other hour or so, they would swing through and check the parking.
It's a car that has cameras on it.
But it's more than the parking.
What's that?
On the weekends, it's more than the parking.
Yeah, if we, I'm.
And it needs to extend all the roads.
And I have not copied.
See, I think.
But can we do that? That's my question. Will the county allow us to do that? To put paid parking? Yeah, we put on our land, but it's their road.
Yeah.
So I think it needs to be recorded to match their, what our expectations, it could grow and fluctuate, right? It might be 40 stalls, it might be 20. But
But it's water, they talk about money all the time, this is literally no money percent.
Isn't your parking lot public? You're a public entity. So technically, we have that as well, right? That-
Yeah, it would have to apply over there,
Yeah.
because people do,
Right.
yeah, this, they're gonna.
If we do it here, we probably have to do it there.
Yeah.
So then you're increasing here.
So would this apply to all residents or just service agency residents?
It would apply to anybody that lives in the taxable area of Stansbury Service Agency.
Okay.
Is it for free? So in diamond parking, I have diamond parking. When I go park somewhere that Enbridge Gas owns, I go scan the code and go to Enbridge Gas and I walk away. I don't pay for it, we don't get charged, we own the property, but they monitor every one of our spots, because there's a gym in the same one parking lot that likes to park at our spots. It's just funny how it works, so it's really
So
simple.
what about Lake Golfers that come here?
So they walk in, right, so it's really easy, he walks in, scans QR code next to the golf course pro shop, because I guarantee you half your golfers are gonna be with that park out. So they walk in, they pull out their diamond parking, scan the QR code, and says, this license plate is the golf. That QR code goes back and says, that's the golf.
Right, yeah, but I don't want to be charged with all.
It's not gonna charge them because they paid to play golf, that's what I'm saying, those guys would be like.
They said they would put a kiosk over there that would tie in so golfers would go and scan that QR code, and that license plate would be free for.
It's the same folks who can have a pass, so residents would get a pass, right, they have to sign up for once. And then golfers, you scan it, and if they pay, they're still going to the clubhouse, no matter what, because you gotta get their car keys, they don't just walk out there, they're gonna scan the key, and that's the way they do it. It's a golf, and let's be honest, as residents, you drive a golf car, right, you don't have to work here. It's all they golfers, they can see me smart. I don't, and again, I'm fine, I understand, I'm my part here. $0 out of our pocket to have somebody drive around our parking lot every other hour and potentially call law enforcement for any sort of problem.
So these guys are gonna pay for parking, but they're gonna park and tow them away, or what do we do if they're not paying?
That'll be time to time, citation.
They do issue citations, they can
They
do
do
vehicles,
all
they can
things.
do all kinds of.
And I go straight to the DMV because I had a fight on because my I was scared because I was done.
They love to move cars.
If they make money off of that.
So I think getting a reword quote would be best to say, look, we expect 30 stalls plus this parking lot. Tell us what you think, because they said they're covering all the costs. And I still look at it as we're getting security guards, right, every other hour, call a sheriff. Just be the same as if you came here to, you can't enforce anything, you just call the sheriff. They'll be doing the same thing. That's all right.
Right. Let's get more information from them to satisfy Brock's concerns and Casey's concerns and all of our concerns.
Would you guys do me a favor and send me questions so that I try to get them all answered?
Thank you. Let's see. We are still on update, okay?
So just a quick update on the project, Soundwall Trail. Ensign owes us they're trying to coordinate the markers between the extra 250-foot section and the amphitheater trail. We've been promised every day for all week that they were going to get it to us that day. So hopefully it's imminent and we can file this thing this week with the contracting folks. Mill Pond Bridge, Brett and I have just signed easements today to go to Rocky Mountain Power. I don't think we've heard anything from Lumen, have we, John? I saw
Some emails.
I saw the other letter.
Sent everybody email yesterday. I can't give you that response.
Just taking, like, we stopped coming because they're thinking.
I guess so, I don't know. And then, I need to get with they're waiting on me.
Now, we need some final design so that we can start doing a bid package for that and get that out.
I'll try to get it done this week.
Can I ask a question real quick, since we're on those two items?
Yes.
That was one thing we were talking about last night, playing, right? Like, the Mill Pond Bridge and then the South Trail are tied potential grants.
Yes.
And if we miss the deadline, we're over.
This one's, we have to have Soundwall Trails on this year. So if we can get this out this week, or by the end of the month at the latest, we will still meet this, we think we could still meet this schedule. No Pond Bridge, we have another year. So I would like to get it done this year.
My goal on that bridge is to try to get that on the street by 1st of July, and have it built by the end of November.
The Portaway Ball Field, we do have that grant. That grant has to be completed by the end of October, so we can submit for the reimbursement. John and Brett have a plan, but we need to get that moving. Amphitheater Trail, I talked about that. The updated design package is due from Ensign. Once they get those survey markers coordinated, then that will mesh into that one. This grant is good for another couple of years, but we'd like to get this done as soon as possible. The VFD is at Gordonwell, it's been ordered, it should be, they should start the install tomorrow on Gordonwell 1. State Fire's been out and done another look at the pro shop just to verify their numbers. Hopefully they will be started on that by the end of the month. So the little things here, these are impact fee projects. So then, future work, I'd like to see if we can get 1, 3, 5, 10-year plan started in the planning group. We also probably had to update that lake management plan. That's almost 10 years old. And we have the Oxford Park that is coming up. A couple of things. In this area, we talked about this. This is the trail music. We need to really decide what we want to do with this. Do we want to cut this off and then re-seed? We want to say, oh, well, this is where everybody's walking. Let's just make this a trail. So we need to talk about what we want to do in that area. And I talked a little bit about this area, but there's also a trail that's been built through here. So I asked Matt what we thought we wanted to do with this. It does provide good access for the crew, but Matt would like to change at least the pattern so it doesn't wear in that one spot. I talked to him about maybe doing either concrete or asphalt. He doesn't like that because you'll get a lot of weird bounces off the balls in that area. So that's a couple.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I don't golf. You go once a week. You go golf once a week, right? So I'm just gonna ask a stupid question. Do we want grass all the way back there, or is there like a really nice, I'm gonna call it like a tall grass, like a rough grass that can go along the edge? I mean, wheat grass, yeah, just something that doesn't take so much water, and we're back to the maintenance issue, right? Is that because it's already degraded, and I'm off the back a long time, from my recollection, that's quite a ways off the fairway.
I'd like to see grass right here.
Starting at 480, no, I'm
Yeah,
not. But just,
But I think on this side of the trail, you want playable grass.
So what's the problem with this, is everybody that drives golf carts go down that and kill it off. No matter what you do, that's the way they get to the golf course without
interfering
with the golf.
Okay, that's why I was trying, because like if we put tall grass in, they wouldn't have that anymore, obviously, but it's just a thought, as you mentioned that, like, we're talking about maintenance costs.
You don't want anything so long that golf balls go in there, and then they spend all their time looking for their 125-cent golf ball, or the one they stole from the practice range. But I'm sure if it delays when the ground is tall, it slows everything down.
It was just a question.
So at any rate, those are areas that we probably ought to have discussions about and where we want to go with those two in the future. Finances, real quick. Here is the cash summary at the end of May. We have $5 million total dollars, but almost $900,000 that's impact fees in the bank. So that left us with just over $3 million in operating capital before Medina started. In terms of expenditure rates, you can see that both the revenue rates, both the golf course and our income on the general management side are ahead of budget. A little bit behind on rentals, but that may have been the way I phased it. They're behind on revenue on the cemetery, but that's not really a big deal because it's not very large and it varies month to month. Depending on who dies and who gets buried. This is sort of projected revenue line showing we've got the increase early in the year from increased golf play and revenue on the tax rate, delinquent taxes. That's going to carry on through the year. In terms of expenditures, everybody is either on or close to on track with the exception of the pool. This one will probably grow, and we can expect to see a lot of cost increases because of what we've had to do in the pool, but it's unavoidable. It's not a large part of our budget, but it is something that we're going to have to look at in the future. Our capital projects we haven't done as many of those as we had hoped, but we're still working on those, so I did this just for Brock. He asked me, how much does it cost to mow an acre when we better off buying lawn service? So if you hire your local guy to come by and mow your quarter lot for $25, that costs you $100 an acre. This is from the Twila Seed contract, what it costs them per acre to mow their lawn. Their contract they have, it's about $60 an acre. Our cost off our 25 days is about $40 an acre. So it's still most efficient to do it in-house as opposed to contract.
Plus you can do other things.
Yeah, you can do it. You get benefits. Okay? I took this one. I went back. Okay. And we did those, right?
Okay, thank you, Jim. Next order of business is order review possible approval of the May 27th, 2026 board meeting minutes. Ingrid sent the revised out to us about 5 p.m. I still have a few comments and suggestions. Kasey also had a few comments and suggestions, so I guess I'm going to recommend that we postpone approving these minutes to until our next meeting.
I think we should postpone the approval of the May 27, 2026 board meeting minutes, just based on my own faults and not having a chance to review some changes. I'll second.
We have a motion from Kasey, a second from Kyle. Wayne, how do you vote?
Yes.
John?
But you want to table it?
Yeah.
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Brett, aye. Rob?
Aye.
Kasey? Aye. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Board review and possible approval of the May financial statements, purchases, and journal entries. Are there any questions?
I have a couple.
Okay.
I think I've got most of the action elements of the second. I had several questions, but I spent some time with Ingrid, so she answered my questions.
All right, any other board members have questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I just say, I should have
motion that we approve the May financials from May 1st, 2026 to May 31st, 2026. The amount of $146,923.90. Sorry, $143,923.90.
I'll second that.
Anyone else will need approval for the journal entries as well?
Second.
You want your journal entries?
So I make your motion to include the journal, approval of the journal entries as well. Yeah. Okay. Okay, John seconded that. Lane?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Pat?
Aye.
Red's aye. Rob?
Aye.
Kasey? Aye. Thank you, motion passes unanimously. Last month, we were presented with our independent, 2025 audit report. We need to accept that, for the fiscal year 2025 financial statement. Entertain a motion for approval, unless anybody has any questions.
I make a motion that we accept the financial year 2025 financial audit statements.
Second.
Yes. John?
Yes.
Kyle?
Aye.
Red's aye. Rob?
Aye.
Kasey?
Aye.
Thank you, motion passes unanimously. Open comment session for individual board members to present final thoughts on any subject covered in the meeting, updates on individual projects, not covered by the meeting, and requests or future board actions. Is there anyone that's really interested in starting us off here? I will start with you, Dave.
Okay. Just a couple questions for Jim. This wire up here, is it a conduit? No. Okay. I suggest you get a full SAR. That would find it.
I think I have one.
Okay.
What do you call it?
It's called the brand full SAR.
Oh,
The ground
So
SAR.
that
Full SAR.
oh,
It's a ground fault. So you can wire up and it will find all your nicks that you never want to do. Just for me, Osterson, without the detention pond is 2.5 acres. Okay? Village Park is 6 acres. This area right here, parking lot, with that green space, that's 2.5 acres. Wow. So that's what you're looking at. So, it's not very big. So, other than that, big thanks and to the crews and all staff. So far, I think we're having a good year. That's probably good.
Thanks, Brad. John Wright? Have any, you want to add?
Couple of items I just wanted to verify. Did we, last time I thought we talked about signing, possible signage about the public park, no more ride vehicles, ride steps, kind of vehicles. Did we decide, or did we find out that we cannot do that, or did we not decide?
So we didn't decide, and part of it is, I'm waiting to see what comes back from the county on the ordinance. The sheriff said he's not going to be able to enforce anything that's not in that ordinance. So I think we need to make those coincident with whatever that ordinance is. If we want to move forward, just add or put a speed limit on, we can do it, but I don't think we can get any enforcement on it.
Are you, I know we worked on the pool, and you explained the pool operations, we actually worked with, a lot of it, from the information I got, was based on, our circulation piping was not big enough, we had 2.5 inch, we needed 4 inch drops of water, so I'm like washing it up. I know you've only been in operation 3 days, maybe 4 days, 3 days. Are you comfortable with what you're seeing, are you happy with it?
Yeah, we've been running for a week now, the temperature's consistent. flows consistent. If you go down and look at that water, that's the cleanest water I've seen since I've been.
Yeah, I agree.
It's crystal clear. Part of that is the work we did on the bottom. So I think that I talked to the staff down there, they are very confident in how well their maintenance part of that is operation is going.
Probably hold the question, you want to be, what are we trying to hold, Jim? We trying to hold?
They were holding 84. I actually asked them to drop it down. Because for one, it'll hold within the temperatures that are required.
We anticipate having a difficult conversation about the cost of the
Yes. I mentioned it earlier, I'm not writing them back off of that and tell them, you can sort of screw this up and stuff that up, fix it.
We talked about the grass replacement from the back wash, the grass is over here on the hillside, like right over here. It seemed that in the early spring, we talked about possibly putting a curb from the sidewalk, or the stairs, back this way to kind of keep bikes and stuff going down that hill and then tractor spot. Is that still in the process or not?
Yeah, we're trying to think how best to do that. If you got an idea, let me know, we'll see if we can make that happen. But we haven't found a good thing. That's why I talked about it. I definitely think we ought to put a rock or something along that one. Coming off the bridge, keep people from going that way. But we've got to decide.
I just talked right here.
Right here.
Yeah, you know, walk from the snow shack.
Pine Tree? Pine Tree?
No.
Oh, you're
The
talking
snow
about,
shack, the snow
you're
shack
talking
right there, outside that window, down that hill is pretty good. I thought we talked about putting a curb down there because we felt like bikes.
Well, we sort of blocked it with that concrete structure I put in. So they'd have to be pretty good to fit between, where we were getting people coming up was between where the original storage shack was, the shed, and the building. And so now that we put the box with the library there, that's sort of blocked that natural roof that we come up the hill.
So you think you got to have to redress this area here, you might try that?
Yeah, we'll look at what we can do, but there's not much room for them to get between the snow shack and the shack where they're storing their stuff there.
Okay, I thought they were jumping the curb right there, and I would probably like doing that, maybe not. Okay, next question I had was, we talked about the fire protection of all the folk shop. Talked about VFD is working well. Oh, the cemetery fence down there, the relocation that, sort of worked out, or we have worked out with the county. They got that, they got the survey wrong.
Yeah, I talked to,
I don't know if you do that.
I talked to Glenn today. I need to get a hold of the county surveyor and say, remind me that he surveyed inside the fence.
So, well,
I don't know if he didn't have a key, so he just surveyed outside the fence or what he did.
I don't know what it is, it's on the wrong side. Let's see, we talked about, down by the Prairie Homes, last time we reported something about their homeowner's fence had been jogged out into our property or something. I didn't quite understand what was going on.
So I'm going to have to look at all that.
So it's on the south end, that was me.
It's on the south end.
Yeah, the south end, there's a whole, we drive this road, you actually look and you can see down all those fence lines line up. And then there's one hole that's got fence line that comes out. Even it's temporary, it's like a T-post fence. And you cut it out, which is 25 feet into that parcel. That he's.
The south, we're talking on the south side of that.
Yeah, the south end. Yeah, so you can't see it unless you're driving to the left and happen to go out that way or drive down Pump House Road, and then you can see very clearly it's like white vinyl, and then carved out T-post economically on that was in there.
I caught a place that stood out.
I looked at it, and I obviously am not looking in the right place. Okay, I'd like to report to you folks, that our Stansbury, scholarship pageant was extremely successful. We had 8 candidates, and every one of those candidates were really good. Any one of those girls could have, you would have been proud to be your representative for the next year. The talent was great. Their answers to the question was very articulate. They did a great job, and your directors, they really put on a good show. We have 3 new ladies, Abigail Arnell is our queen, and Wright Bromley is an attendant, and Rebecca Marconi is an attendant. And I'm telling you what, they are really sharp. Probably the best roles we've had in the next 4 years. These guys are really good. I've already met with Abigail, and I need to set up a time to have her come and present. Have her present her proposed idea. The Queen has a responsibility or a task to do a project each year, attending to help her. But she has a good, I've met her, I've listened to what she has to say about it. I think it's a great plan. And I believe that she wants to come and see us. Do we have a meeting at the end of June? No? So it must be the first part of, I'll check. But I think it's the first part of July, the first meeting in July. She would like to come and present it to us and make sure that we don't have a harbor. So I think it's a great plan. And it will start late in August, I think, middle of September. And go until next May. Anyway, I think you should be very proud of them. They did a great job. And your directors did it. It was fantastic. They had representatives from 12 other grants over there, and they thought that it was extremely well done. Last time I talked about the project, and it's not enough.
Thanks, John. Wayne, you have anything?
In our financial meeting last night, all my questions got answered. Like, you guys really good talk last night.
Awesome. Thank you, Kasey.
So I have 3 things. First thing, I would want to say thank you to you for your apology for the side of things. I just want to recognize that. Thank you for your apology. We've had residents tonight ask about cans on the causeway. I think we all agree. Can we get 4 cans on the causeway? Okay. The last thing I'll bring up, so this kind of stemmed from some questions around service agency proprietary information. I'm going to work with Ingrid. We're working on talking with the county about upgrading our licensing for Microsoft. I think we actually are in violation of some rules right now that I would be in violation. Service agency emails all my personal device. We had some cybersecurity conversations. We're trying to get some numbers to verify this. This one put on the board radar that there might be a need for us in the future to come back to board members are going to have to get some kind of service agency managed device that holds service agency documentation. It's loads of fun. So just keep that in mind. Right now, the board has very minimal accounts through the county, basically email. Nothing else. We have some power users in Ingrid. But we're kind of ready to do different things because, and I don't know this up, but right now we pay over $3,000 for Dropbox. We can pay much less than we pay on Microsoft. But there is some things security standpoint, we are not following through that Ingrid and I have discussion to find out. We're gonna find out from the county for sure, because we piggyback on their license. But I want to put that on the board's radar that it might potentially lead to you handing a laptop as a service agency laptop, any employer that's there and not a personal device, because of the proprietary information that we have access to in Dropbox.
So, I guess I don't understand. I'm sure I don't understand everything you just said. But I guess I wonder if when we spend our time and effort to make tablets for each individual member, are you telling me, or are you trying to explain to me that I could not do any work on my own computer and so on, that it was, at some point in time, I'd have to always do it on that?
Correct. You would not have access to service agency proprietary assets, documents, or anything on a personal device.
So if I was to have, just or whatever, if I was to have a I'll call it a volunteer, I don't know what else to call it, working with me on policies and things.
This is where that conversation is stemming from.
Well, but would, under those circumstances, would I still need volunteers from time to time to help? Does that mean that I would have to provide them a laptop, a password, all this other stuff? I mean, so they were similar to me, or us, because they have to have, when we work on policy, you know, we're working on existing documents and we're playing games with new documents, trying to make them fit.
Yeah, so think of it this way. So we're not gonna talk about policy side.
Say what?
We're not gonna be talking, just think of it this way, we're gonna take the policy committee, we're gonna talk very general layman's terms. Rock runs the business. Rock has proprietary information for his bid documents, for clients, everything else. If I was to come in to Rock's as a subcontractor or as a third-party vendor, he can't hand me a device with all of his proprietary information on, say, I need to do this for my work company. That actually violates some state codes for state entities. So that's where some of this is stemming from. We're trying to, if it's service agency proprietary information, it has to be stored in our prior database. So we're gonna put it all in one place that all of us can have access, but we can't have access on just our Joe Schmo devices. We can manage the volunteer side, that's why I'm trying to get some of this information, because of exactly that. We have volunteers that are helping. But this would be the same as if, we could use Jim as an example. Jim does all his work on this laptop, and then goes home and logs in the Dropbox for 10 seconds, sends something to me or Brett. On a personal device, is technically against the rules. It's against the rules. He should not be on a device that is not managed or maintained by the service agency, accessing service agency documentation.
You know, for an agency our size, I mean, it's not exactly like we got cash flow out of it before.
I understand.
I understand about security, and I understand, well, I think, about, you know, keeping things proprietary and all that kind of stuff, but it sure seems like we're jumping through a lot of hoops over something that
It does.
all what if.
And a lot of it comes back to is protecting us, their state codes. So litigation-wise, right now that volunteer individual is completely open to litigation because they're writing policy for a government entity. A personal individual is open to litigation because they are writing policy, even though it goes to our committee. He has access to these that means this affects us all, right? I do work all the time. I respond to emails showing stuff all the time on my personal devices. I have my service agency email on my phone. It's not managed by the service agency, and that's a no-no. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. If we can talk with the county and fall under some of their jurisdictions, we might be okay. But I've got to get some answers. I'm making everybody aware just that we have had some conversations, Ingrid and I have a pretty lengthy conversation, that we're potentially exposed at the moment. And the law is here that doesn't sit as an elected official, writes a policy, and something goes through and we don't catch it, or writes a rule, or writes a handbook, and then something happens, and law litigation is problems that now are plate because we didn't follow the state codes. So I'm just trying to get the answers.
So does that mean also, that we would have to have our own, because we're slaves off of the counties,
Microsoft, basically.
yeah, server. Okay, is that true?
Yeah.
Would that mean that we have to have our own server? I mean, we have to be totally independent, stand alone down here. We have got enough security on the outside of the building for that.
We can be on there. Ingrid and I, she sent some emails to the county, and I don't think she's heard back yet. We're going to have some discussions with them, because if we can keep ourselves separate, which we think we can at the moment, but it's just the county giving us certain permissions to do so, we can still continue to piggyback on it. We can't. And this is where I brought Dropbox earlier. If we can, so general numbers, we spend, either correct me if I'm wrong, $2,600 a year to be on the county's license for Microsoft as a whole, correct? $2,600. We then spend $3,200 alone for Dropbox. So we're spending $5,800 a year for our file share databases, emails, the whole shit, okay? If we can't stay on the county, then we can't stay on the county. Maybe looking at similar costs to just being on our own license. And get rid of Dropbox.
But the equipment that you have to be able to put in your place, there, am I misunderstanding?
All the employees have their equipment. What it would be is you would need 6 devices for board members, and board members would have to have a license change away from Outlook to now you can access SharePoint instead of Dropbox. We already paid for SharePoint.
But you'd also have to buy everybody a tab for.
Correct. You would have an upfront cost of you're buying a tablet, laptop, unless you can get something to work that's sitting downstairs. So
And so every time you change the board member, how does that work?
you
So how, way,
no, so it's managed, so this part comes back into policy from the state. So it's managed by the service agency, right? So your term ends and Rock now is the new guy comes into the board. Your term ends, you hand in your service agency owned laptop. And the service agency then sets it up in Rock and gets to access all the databases. So you should have access to one. You don't take it with you, it's managed by the service agency. So being just like any other business, you couldn't take your Jacobson laptop out to Kidcom and to a guy and say, hey, I need you to do all this work on my computer to get the rules. Guys in that same level.
well, yeah.
So I'm still trying to sort through it. I'm just making everybody a little more aware that when this was brought to our attention with cybersecurity, everything we're doing to try and be a little more secure and cover ourselves from litigation. So I put it out there on the radar just because we've been doing projects and trying to get things updated.
Great.
Thank you. I know, trust me, I'm going back to your thanks, Kasey, for all the other.
No, I was going to actually bring up similar, so, hey, and thank you for your time. Spend a lot of time here.
I had,
Saunders reach out to me, he was going to come to the meeting and, make a comment during the public comment section, but he had car troubles. And, Jim, this may fall under the discussion you had with the county, but, he said that, he knows some older people like to do some walking on the sidewalk there, where the tennis office is by, corner of Village and Highway 36, where it's kind of like, is it who owns, who maintains that sidewalk strip there? Do we know for sure?
Yeah, so the daily maintenance of when snow is the adjacent property owner's responsibility, which doesn't make sense. They they're in the middle of the block and fence there, it's still their responsibility to maintain that. If the sidewalk is damaged or broken, then the county will repair it. So.
All the weeds from homeland.
Yeah, weeds are on.
Well, I'll have him reach out to you, and maybe he has some suggestions right there, deciding on some things. So, anyway, that was his concern, that he wanted to be, have it addressed, or he's brought it to our attention.
It was taken care of last year by donation.
And I think that's kind of some of his thoughts, he'd like to maybe, get some sponsors or donations for something.
Volunteer work.
I'll have him reach out to you. I feel like, parks overall are looking good. I think it's a 9-day difference from 2024 when we, had a very skeleton crew. So I think, things are improving with the weather back, we gave that online, great work for staff, management, and board members for all your work, appreciate that. Thanks, Jim, for having the maintenance building with the golf course guys, cut down the weeds there. It still would be nice if they could just maintain that frontage along the maintenance building and not let the weeds get out of hand. I appreciate that, continued effort. And, other than thank you, everyone.
I just figured that on irrigation.
Yes.
So, the grass is starting to turn, and I'm looking at weather track right now and see, and it looks like, ET is growing every other day now. I don't know if you want me to change programming, or just. Okay. Yeah. Just know that some programs need to go to odd even.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at it under that.
I'm going to do it with trust and verify. Okay, thank you. I'll entertain the motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
Okay, Wayne, how do you vote?
Yes.